Well, some very interesting news to report to you on this February 29th, 2012. Just yesterday, the Virginia Senate voted 39-1 in favor of a bill that would obstruct the enforcement of the National Defense Authorization Act in Virginia, particularly the provisions dealing with the indefinite detention of U.S. citizens. No part of the Virginia government, no officials, nobody will cooperate in the execution of that law in that state. We're seeing localities around the country passing resolutions to that effect, that you are not welcome here, we're not going to assist you in any way. There are other states that are considering provisions that would be even harsher toward the NDAA even than this. Now, President Obama has now said today that the NDAA does not apply to U.S. citizens, he won't use it against U.S. citizens. So this is a victory. This battle has been won, but it's a long war. Because remember that even in this particular battle, there are going to be people like Senators McCain, Lindsey Graham, and future presidents who are going to dispute that interpretation of the NDAA and have made clear that they fully intend to do so. In fact, when you think about all the powers that the executive branch has claimed after 9/11, we don't really know what they all are. All we know is that the executive branch has laid claim to a vast reservoir of unspecified powers. So trying to fight against them is like nailing jelly to a wall. So when on the rare occasion like this that they come out and actually explicitly state the powers that they intend to exercise, and they put them down in black and white, it's very important to respond as these states have done. Now, you know, Ron Paul says freedom brings people together. Just last week, the heroic 10th Amendment Center had a wonderful press conference alongside some progressives from a huge group called Demand Progress, and the word nullification was used, and nobody's head exploded, and the earth did not tumble toward the sun. So this is great to see. Nullification is the entirely constitutional, perfectly defensible, historically, morally, strategically idea that the states have to prevent the enforcement of unconstitutional federal laws. This is not some crazy idea. It was not invented by John C. Calhoun. It was not invented by slaveholders. Slaveholders had no reason to use nullification because federal laws protected slavery. No, to the contrary, nullification in American history was used for entirely honorable purposes all through the 19th century, up through the 1850s, when it was used to fight against the unconstitutional provisions of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. And I talk a lot more about this in my book, Nullification, and I'll give you some resources at the end of this video. But not everybody's happy about this. Anytime nullification is mentioned, not just with the NDAA, but some other nullification initiatives heroically coming up around the country, naturally the smearbund comes out in force. And so Think Progress, a supposedly progressive website, but basically just reactionary nationalists, throwbacks to the worst parts of the 19th century, they come out and smear me, they smear nullification. I'm a sinister person with terrible intentions. I just want to oppress people, probably, and that's why I favor going after the drug laws with nullification. Supposedly that would be oppressive. Like their argument doesn't even make sense. But they have to attack me, and they have to distort me and my career in order to make the whole idea and to make me appear odious in the eyes of the average reader. And frankly, I resent being put in this position because I'm not the bragging sort, as I think you guys know. But I think one reason they're so hysterical to attack me is that I have, frankly, a better publication record in more prestigious publications and publishing houses than the entire staff of Think Progress put together. So they can't allow people to find that out. They also can't allow people to find out that Thomas Jefferson developed the idea of nullification, because then that might make it seem like that's a little bit more important than Think Progress's opinion. Basically what they are reactionary nationalists who believe in a one-size-fits-all approach to everything. I call them narcs sometimes. That's what they are. They're not progressives in the humane, decentralist tradition of Kirkpatrick Sale. So basically what they are thought control enforcers. They are there to remind you, citizen, you are straying from acceptable opinion as we've defined it. Acceptable opinion runs from, say it with me, Joe Biden to Mitt Romney. And you guys are somewhere over here. You're not allowed to do that, so we're going to smear you and call you names and call you haters and bad people. Beware, citizen, you're in trouble. You got to stay on the plantation between Biden and Romney. Well, you know what? These people are creeps, and I totally favor making obscene gestures in their general direction. It's not the way I normally behave, but I think it's called for in this case. We don't need thought controllers in this country. We need free thought. We need to break out of that box that the crummy oppressors at Think Progress are trying to keep us confined in. One last point. I once had a conversation with a progressive, and by the way, I'm as much in favor of outreach to the left, outreach to anybody as anybody else. My book, We Who Dared to Say No to War, I co-edited that with a leftist, so I'm perfectly willing to do this. But I was having this conversation with a well-known progressive. He co-authored a book on Dick Cheney. I won't mention his name. And he was upset about nullification. So I said to him, you're telling me that the Japanese in the early 1940s are about to be interned in camps, and you're not going to use every tool at your disposal to stop that? If nullification would work, you wouldn't use it? And he said, no, I wouldn't. I would appeal to such and such Supreme Court decision. You know, just when you think you're making some progress with these progressives, you know, that maybe they see the point and they're going to come on board, then you get an inane, pointless, cowardly response like that. Oh yeah, that'll work. The goons are whizzing by, and you're going to stand there holding up your legal document? You're going to stand there holding up words on a page while the goons are whizzing by? Just hopeless. Hopeless. Come on, people. Break free from the box. Now, for more on this, check out my book, Nullification. You're going to learn U.S. history in here that you were not taught, and you're going to learn about things that are going on around the country, and the arguments for this, constitutional, moral. It's just packed with information and primary sources, so you can see I didn't make this stuff up. People really did write and say these things and do these things, and answering a lot of the arguments that you're going to hear. And then for the NDAA specifically, and also more on nullification, check out my resource page, tomwoods.com/NDAA. And finally, I'm making a lot more videos lately, but you got to subscribe to my YouTube channel to make sure you see them, and don't make me come through this screen. Head over to youtube.com/TomWoodsTV and click subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.